a man knows what he is and remains true to himself, he must fulfill his destiny and become who he is meant to be, however much he may hate it.
Is there any way I can help?
Yes, there is.
Once Stannis makes a decision, he never changes his mind. I mean, that's his strength in some ways. That's why he's been a very effective military commander. And it's also his weakness in that there's a rigidity to him, and he's incredibly stubborn. He's really defined by his will. So he's stuck. He's in an incredibly bad position right now. The only way is forward. And Melisandre presents him with an opportunity. He's seen her powers before. She promises him there's one chance left, and that's if we burn Shireen, and that will allow the Lord of Light to set you free on your path to Winterfell.
It's a scene that asks the question, well, what if you're wrong? What if you are completely certain that you know what the divine will is and that you're gonna do this terrible thing because it's what the higher authority wants you to do? And what happens if you're not right?
It's obviously the hardest choice he's had in his life, and what it comes down to is just ambition versus familial love. And for Stannis, sadly, that choice is ambition. When George first told us about this, it was one of those moments where I remember looking at Dan, and it was just like, oh, it's so horrible, and it's so good in a story sense because it all comes together. You know, from the beginning, from the very first time we saw Stannis and Melisandre, they were sacrificing people, they were burning people alive on the beaches of Dragonstone. And it's really all come to this. There's been so much talk about King's blood and the power of King's blood, and it all leads ultimately, fatally, to Shireen's sacrifice. And it's one of the most horrible moments we've shot just in terms of the emotion of it.
Lord of Light, show us the way!
Mother, please!
Selyse is one of the most difficult people to get inside the head of because she believes in a way that I could never believe in anything and would never want to believe in anything if I could. And it's turned her into a pretty terrible person. Meanwhile, the casualty of all of this has been her daughter, who has not had a mother in any meaningful sense of the word.
When it comes down to it, as much as she has convinced herself she believes in all of this, as much as she has acted the fanatic in the past, when your own daughter is screaming for you in agony, it overwhelms her religious convictions, and in that moment she finally becomes a mother again and wants to help her daughter, but it's far too late.
Please, Mother, please! No!
Arya's been completely committed to becoming a faceless man until she sees this hateful piece of her old life. It's very hard not to become Arya Stark again. She has a job, her first real test as a faceless man, which is to carry out an assassination of somebody. And she chooses to fail that test to find out what Maren Trant's doing here. She's been driven by vengeance for so long, reciting her prayer of hate, the list of people in this world that she wanted to take out of this world. And now one of them has come right up to her doorstep, and it's an opportunity that she can't refuse.
The thin man wasn't hungry today.
Perhaps that is why a man is thin.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
She lies to Jaqen about where she's been. It's unclear from Jaqen's response whether she has sold the lie.
Well, she thinks it's probably not that hard. I mean, she's been becoming a better and better liar. She's been practicing the game of faces, and it seems like she gets away with this lie. Even before we put pen to paper, I remember reading this scene in the book and saying, holy shit. And actually, I remember emailing George right after I read the scene, even before I finished the book, just after reading this scene and saying, that's one of the best scenes in any of your books, and I have no idea how we're gonna do it. And this seems like a big scene for a feature movie, let alone a TV show.
It's one of the most powerful and seamless illusions we've ever created on the show. We've never had anything remotely like this before.
Dany could stop this at any moment. As Tyrion says at one point when it looks like Jorah is going to die, and she can't. She's the queen. She can stop anything, right? And she doesn't. Because even if she is the queen, she's, as she says earlier, if I don't keep my word, why would anyone trust me? And she's exiled him from the city twice now. He's come back twice. So from her perspective, she's not going to step in and protect him. I mean, he's not worthy of her protection. At the same time, as tough as she is in that sense, she's watching this man that she's had great affection for so long, and it looks like she might lose him here. It looks like he really might die. So there's just this witch's brew of conflicting emotions in Dany's head. And Jorah, I think, is really hoping for her to stop it. You know, at a certain point, it's like, look what I'm willing to do to get back to you.
The look he gives her in that moment, you can just feel how intensely it just digs into her and how it says volumes to her across that dusty arena without ever speaking a word. It's one of my favorite moments in the scene and in the season and in the series, that moment where she realizes this is over and she resigns herself to that fate.
This isn't the way she saw it happening, and it's not the way she wants it to end, but if it's going to happen, she doesn't want to die screaming, she doesn't want to die in terror, she just wants to have a moment of peace before it's over. And then at that moment, when all seems lost, Drogon comes. There seems to be a connection between them. It's been talked about before in the show and in the books. There's this very deep connection between the Targaryens and their dragons. And certainly that's true with Dany and Drogon. It's more than just a pet of hers. They are, in a very real sense for her adopted children. And so this is just evidence of Drogon's ability to sense when his mother's in great peril. Jorah has this conversation with Tyrion midway through the season where he says, I used to be cynical like you, but then I saw this girl step out of the fires with 3 baby dragons. And if you've ever heard baby dragons singing, it's hard to be cynical after that. And it's the same thing happening here for Tyrion. It's hard to be cynical after watching this young queen fly off on a dragon. And so it's very hard not to believe that she really is the chosen one.
I think at that point it's pretty hard for Tyrion to keep a grip on his cynicism. His expression, watching her fly away, completely captured what we wanted to capture in the moment, which is he's never seen a girl like this before.